Hello everyone, welcome back to another session on my channel. Okay, today we are going to see about for loops. The main thing about loops is whether it is in Python or in any other language, loops are a very important topic. So first and foremost, in loops there are three important variables. The first one will be the Boolean expression. Boolean expressions are the main keywords, something like x is greater than 10 or x is less than 10, these kind of keywords. These are the expressions which we use to evaluate the loops. The second one is the variables. Variables are nothing but the character in the Boolean expression. For example, here x is greater than 10. In this case, x will be our variable. And the third one will be our iterables. Iterables are nothing but the looping variable. Here x is starting from 0 and ranging from 0 to 10. So starting from 0 and ending till 10. So if x is starting from 0 and ending till 10, the iterable variable will be our x because it is changing for every loop equation. Okay, so now let us see first condition on the loop, how we can run loops. For loops are normally iterated over a collection of items. When I say collection, it can be a string or a list or a tuple, dictionary, all these kind of things. For only those kind of things, for a collection of items, we can use a for loop. For example, if I take a list here, if I say for I in 1, 2, 3, 4, here I is my variable which is an iterable. So I simply want to print I here. When I run this code, you can see here the I is printing for every variable in the list. First it will print 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. It is a loop until and unless the last value is being printed, the loop will not break. Okay, this is one way of showing the for loop. The same thing can be done over a string also. If I say for I in, suppose for my name, and if I say print I, if you see here, now it is printing Monish separately. First it is printing M. After printing M, it is again going back to O, U, N, I, E, S, H. This way it iterates over each and every variable of the character. Here all these characters are collected and are forming a string. So we can run a for loop on any kind of collection variables. Okay. Suppose if you want to print a list with an index, if that is the case, you can use the enumerate function. So what is enumerate function and how to use the enumerate function? Suppose I want index and the item in the list, and let my list be 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is my list. So now what I want to do is I want to print an index with the item in the list. If that is the case, in front of the list I simply put the keyword enumerate like this. So now what happens is when I say index comma item, you can see that first 0 has been printed, 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4. The index is generated by the enumerate function. This is an inbuilt function in Python which generates index with the help of the list items. You can use this enumerate function for printing out the index kind of a things. Okay, so we have seen how we actually run a for loop, a single for loop over a list over a string and use the enumerate function with it. Suppose let us take an example like I want to print a pattern like this. Okay, this is the pattern I want to print. If this is the pattern I want to print, how do I actually print this pattern? So first our question comes is here if you see the logic, first M is being saved and then O is added to M and then MO is saved and then U is added to MO. Means we are taking a result and then adding the next variable to the result. Let us say we first have the result and it is empty. Now I take a iterable variable with the string which is Monish in this case and I'll simply say result is equal to result plus I and I'll simply print the result. Okay, you can see that we have actually obtained our pattern, but we will see a stepwise how this is happening. What happens in step 1? If you see the step 1, the result is an empty string. So result is an empty string. What happens next? We come inside the for loop and I will take the value m. So now our I value is equal to m. Now after coming inside the loop, we can see that result is equal to result plus I. So what happens? Now our result is an empty string plus I. Here I is equal to m and m is also a string. So totally the result becomes m. So now I am printing m. What happens in the second step? Now what is my result variable? My result variable is m. Now I value is equal to o and then let's go to the function inside the for loop. Now my previous result value is m. So m plus I. My I value is o. So my final result answer will be MO. The same thing will repeat for each and every step and at the last step we will have result variable will be MOUNIS and the I variable will be H. So my final result value will be plus H. So this is how we use a for loop to print a pattern. I hope you understand. Now this is for a single for loop value. Suppose we have two for loops. We simply call it as the nested for loop. Suppose we are having two for loops. I'll take up two lists for examples. First list will be my fruits. So let us take orange, mango and apple. And let us say properties of the fruits. Basically I'm mentioning the properties of the fruits. Let us say the fruit is tasty, it is ripe and it is juicy. So I took out some fruits and I took some properties. Now what I want to do is I want to enlist every property with each fruit. Means it's a tasty orange, tasty mango, tasty apple, and then it's a ripe orange, ripe mango, ripe apple. Like that, I want to print out every property with its fruit. So how do I do it? First, I want to print out the property. Then I have to print the fruit. So let us say for our reference, I will be the property and J will be the fruit. So first, for I in properties and for j in fruits, I'll simply say print I comma j. Sorry, I comma j. And if I run this block of code, if you can see that first it is coming as tasty orange, tasty mango, tasty apple, then ripe, then juicy. So let us see how the debugging is happening. Let us say in the first step, always remember that a for loop will go to the next item only if all the properties of the inner for loop are completed. Means once you take I equal to tasty, then all the j values should be complete. In this case, all the fruit items, orange, mango, apple, all these three items should be complete. Then only it will go to the next I item, which will be our ripe in this case. So first I is equal to tasty, then first line, this line gets executed and I will take the property tasty and it will come to inside this for loop. And here you can see that j in fruits, so it will take the first fruit. In our case, it will be orange. And then after executing this line, it will go inside the print statement, which is I comma j. So the total statement, it will be tasty orange will be printed out. So we'll take up the next sentence, the second step. In second step, what happens? In second step, I value will be remaining the same. It will be tasty itself because all the items in fruits are not yet completed. So my j value will become mango. Then tasty mango will get printed. Then we'll go to the next step where my I value will be equal to tasty the last time, and j value will become apple. So it will be tasty apple in simpler ways. So now you can see that all the j variables are complete. All the items in fruit are complete. So one round is complete on the fruits. The inner for loop is over. Now it will again, after completing this block of code, it will again go back to the first line. In this first line, if you see again, it is having for I in properties. Since the first tasty is completed, now I will take the value of second one, which is my ripe. So the fourth step, what happens is I will take the property as ripe and then j is equal to orange. Then it will be ripe orange. So the same thing gets repeated for the fourth time and the fifth time. For the fifth and sixth time, the same thing will get repeated. What happens in the seventh step? Seventh step, the property ripe and all its fruits items are over. So it has to go to the next property, where my next property is juicy. And my j value will become the first item in our fruits list, where it will become orange. And the total answer will be juicy orange will get printed out. The same thing will happen for the 8th and ninth step, and after completing of the ninth step we can see that all the properties in all the items in my properties list and all the items in my fruits list are completed. So once you complete all these properties, automatically my for loop gets ended. If you see the answers, first it is tasty orange, then it is ripe orange, then it is juicy orange, at the end it is juicy apple, and it got completed. So that is how nested for loops work. Even if you have 3 to 4 for loops also, first the last inner for loop has to get over. Then only it will come to the next, the next, the next. The same way. Assume that you put 3 to 4 boxes, one inside the other one. So always remember that you have to close the last box first, then after that you have to close the other box, then the other box, and the top box. The same pattern will repeat here also. Always complete the first for loop, then from the ending, then the last but one, then the last but two. Like that, it comes in the reverse order. So we saw how a for loop runs over a list, a tuple. It is all the same for all the collection of items, and we have seen how a nested for loop runs. Now let us see two most important, I can say, methods, or I can say functions or statements: break and continue statements. So what are these break and continue statements? Uh, a quick example is break will stop the loop, but the continue will skip the loop. In simpler words, we'll see an example. Suppose for I in range of 0, 5. Here range is a function which generates numbers from 0 to 4. It will exclude the last variable and it will include the starting variable. So it will give numbers from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So what happens is, let us say if I get a value which is I equal to or double equal to 3, I'll say break and I'll print I. So what I'm doing is, if I get I equal to 3 value, I want to stop the loop. So I must get answer as 0, 1, 2. If I is equal to 3, I'll simply stop the loop. So now you can see that it got only 0, 1 and 2. What happens? Let's debug this. How will the debugging happen? The very first step, what happens is, for I in range of 0, 1. So my I will take the value 0 first. Then it is coming inside the for loop. Now it sees a condition where I is equal to 3. So now is my I equal to 3? No, my I is not equal to 3. So it will not go inside the if condition. It will directly go here. It will print 0. The second step, it will again go back to the for loop, starting of the for loop, and it will say I equal to 1. No, I is not equal to 3. So it will print 1. Next, third step, where my I will be equal to 2. No, and 2 will get printed. Fourth step, my I is equal to 3 and yes. Now here my I value is equal to 3. So this condition becomes true, and when this condition becomes true, it will go inside the if condition. Inside this block of code, you can see a break. So what happens is, when it sees a break, it will stop the complete loop. So in this step itself, it will stop the complete loop. It will not even print I. So the complete program will get terminated. Not the complete program, the for loop gets terminated. Okay. So you can see here, as soon as we see the break statement, the loop got stopped. So it only printed from 0, 1, 2. So suppose if there is a continue statement in the same condition, what happens? So if this is the case, and I have a continue statement here, so I just change nothing but the break. Instead of the break statement, I gave the continue statement. Now what happens? So as we know that break statement stops the loop, continue statement skips the loop. Means if I equal to 3, this particular step, after when I equal to 3, it sees continue. When it sees continue, the loop will not run it. The loop will skip I equal to 3 and it will directly go to I equal to 4. So it will not even print I. So what happens is, the output will be something like 0, 1, 2. You will not see 3, it will directly go to 4. Because you have the continue statement, it will completely skip the complete step for I equal to 3. It will not even print I. If I run this code, you can see that 0, 1, 2 and 3 is been skipped and you directly got 4. For loop is a very important topic because you can use it on a vast variables. Suppose, for example, you have an Excel sheet of around 10,000 rows. You can simply run a for loop on each and every row and calculate some calculations can be done with the help of for loop. So it's a very important topic. So I end this topic with this note. The same thing repeats for while loop also. The next video will be on while loop. So we'll see how a while loop runs and where all we can use while loops. Thank you all for watching and don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel. See you.